to Sporting Jibberish. I'm Stu Booth.
I'm Jack Luffman.
On today's show, we are going to be covering some stuff on Jack's phone. What's happened somebody? Breaking news on Jack's phone. He's just been texted from ECC. Don't highlight who he got from.
Sorry.
It's an immediate message about Joe Root, and we'll talk about that in a second.
Correct.
We're also going to be covering Premiership, the opening weekend cup results in the old fancy football for Sporting Jibberish.
How did it go? Forgot about that.
We will be covering that. We will also be looking at review of the Premiership and also a great week for the British clubs in Europe.
Very good.
Arguably now, we'll talk about this, but I'm going to throw this out there. Arguably, strongest league in the world. It's got to be Spanish, hasn't it? 2 teams in the semi-final.
Yeah, I believe that the Premiership's been that for a long time.
No, I said Spanish.
Oh no,
Real Madrid.
No. Barcelona got knocked out in the
Champions League. Nobody cares about the Conference in Europa League.
Thursday night football. Of course we do. We would have won it. We got chucked out.
Oh, okay, chucked it out. But we'll start with our sporting week. So what has been happening? Obviously you've had family visitors. You've been here, there, and everywhere.
I don't know what's going on, to be honest.
I saw great video footage of the old roister.
Oh yeah,
the old chipping onto the green.
So we had a bit of a hack around. Well, it was actually not a hack. We actually played well around the par 3. Me, Tom, Rory, and sister-in-law Annika. It was good fun. Rory's a bit of a freak, I'll be honest. Like 8-year-old went round in a genuine 50.
Beautiful.
No gimmies, no mulligans, etc.
She's my first 9.
So that was good. But yeah, no cricket. The boys played last night, but obviously I didn't play and won again. Second game in the Ramadan. So that means that 2 from 2 in that, and they won comfortably, chasing 150 odd. They've gone for 2 in 14 overs.
Oh, beautiful. So any reason why lack of commitment from the chairman?
Family commitments, mate. And I'll be honest, like last night, Clint didn't battle bowl. I think it's a real good opportunity to make sure others are getting a go.
Oh, that old chestnut.
It's true.
Sorry, Gaffer, I can't play today because I'm taking dog for a walk, but it's a good opportunity for I'm
inclusive, giving everybody a go. But no, it's good, so we'll see. I'll probably play next week if needed. If required. I'll turn off the big ones now. So that's been that. And what I'm doing is finalising arrangements for the big dinner next week. First annual club dinner, so
yes, looking forward to it.
You've been invited to as a sponsor, Mr. Booth.
I have, yes.
There you go. What about you? Sporting week. Big game last night.
Yeah, we
sets up an even bigger one next week.
Yeah, we played the Turkish team, but instead bizarre because they're not all Turks. Turkish team with a Syrian goalkeeper, Algerian centre half, Russian centre back, Russian right back.
Very good.
But then I think that's
the keepers. This is the one who's a bit volatile.
Oh, this is the one that's not very nice. Yeah. One of the lads said to me earlier doors, he ran out of the goal area in the middle of the pitch to go and have a go at him. And I was just thinking, if I can get the ball now, he is nowhere near. I'm like, quick, give it me. But by the time this ball did get fed into me, he was already back in his goal. But yeah, he's a lunatic. Hand up, nearly cost us. Missed some chances I would normally score. First half, 0-0, ball comes through. Defender misses it. I take a touch. I'm just inside the area. Guys close me down. Keeper's left me a decent sized gap on the far side. So I'm thinking, that's where he's going to go. So I've just head down, I've just drilled it really hard and high to the front post. He's moved and then come back on himself and tipped it out the top corner. And I joke you not, it couldn't have been any more than the top corner to try. But I should have gone across him, and I didn't. I thought he was going to go that way because that's where he left the gap. Should have scored that. Then a couple of half chance headers, but it was more me heading it into an area for people to get into. Didn't fall, and then they went 1-0 up at half time. Then he got a little bit feisty second half. Russian guy, Dennis his name was, absolute tool. Just decided to get angry with everybody. He was giving everybody a lot of grief. Sat in corners, the all-star ladies and a bunch of big babies.
Oh, very good.
Like,
did it rhyme?
Let it rhyme.
Yeah,
and then he made the mistake of doing a foul throw in front of our dugout.
Oh dear.
So you can imagine what grief he got. And then I got the back end of the grief, so I'm currently still in agony with my trapped nerve in my shoulder. Ball comes into me, I play it off to the side, it's run straight into the back and smash me. You know then where you jolt your neck back and you're like,
it jobs it back into place.
No, I couldn't sleep last night, I was in agony. Like, thanks, Dennis. And then the ball drops to me, they got to clear, it hits the back of the defender, ricochets back into my path, one-on-one with the keeper, and he's come bombing out, and I can see the defenders closing the line. So I tried to go between, and I just like pulled it just wide of the post, and I'm thinking it's going to be one of them nights. And then I felt tense and tight, and I'm like, no. And then I was like worried. I don't want to miss the next chance anyway. Steph picks ball up, goes to hit this shot. Keeper spills it, comes out to me, I take a touch, put it past him. Made it 1-1. Big sigh of relief. It was more like, oh, thank goodness I didn't miss that. And then I think we then scored again to make it 2-1 cross. Oh no, it didn't. Steph hits the post, it comes out at a bad angle. I take a touch with my left foot and I've drilled it into the front post, and the defender and goalkeeper kind of got there, and I think it's hit the defender's foot, hit the goalie's chest and looped over the bar. Off the resulting corner, we've scored. So,
winner.
2-1 up, winner, chicken dinner, but I did feel like I was a little bit like, I'm just not quite there with shots.
You have been struggling there, to be fair, haven't you?
But don't make excuses on the fact that if you get into them positions, you've got to really be scoring. So some extra shooting practice this week for Booth, because this has now left us with title deciding game next week. So if we play Dubai FC, who are currently top by a decent amount of points, but we've got games in hand on them. If we lose or draw, it's theirs to lose at that point. If they win it, they're pretty much won the league. If we win it without games in hand, we can still win the league by 1 point, I think. So
big game.
It is. It's a big game, and we beat them last time 3-2. So it's really set up.
Get the boys down. Get the ultras, the all-star ultras.
Could have done with that last night. Would have well kicked off. And then it got a little bit feisty as well towards the end of the game. But all in all, they played relatively well first half. The midfielders were particularly good first half, but a lad in there that actually works with a deal called Joma played really well, controlled the game, but unfortunately he's probably about 5-6 years older than us. So he just died second half, and then we just pushed on second half.
Because it's hot as well.
Oh, it was 30 something last night at 9 o'clock.
I was up the Burge and it was 30. I think it's 38. It was ever so hot and sweaty.
Yeah. On that note, we'll move on. Right, sure. We'll cover Premiership before we go to your breaking news.
Okay.
So we'll have a little quick look at last weekend's fixtures. Newcastle beat Wolves in a surprise. Well, I wouldn't say surprise because Newcastle are going quite well at the moment, but I think more surprise. But when I watched the game, Wolves were very, very limp first half.
They look, I think they look a bit tired.
I think they'll be itching to get Jimenez back because he's a focal point. And as much as this young kid, Fabio, is it Silva?
Famous.
Is not a bad young player. He just doesn't look like a type of player that's going to carry and get goals.
No, he just doesn't look like he's going to score.
No, he probably looked a bit like me last night. But just a bit limp from them. And then the big game was at Goodison Park where Everton managed to beat Manchester United 1-0.
What a day, what a day.
Great result for Everton, great result for Spurs, great result for Arsenal, and West Ham to a degree. And I think United fans, even though it's early doors, still with a few games left, have started to call they ain't going to make the top four.
No, I think it's going to take some momentous form from them and not so good form from the others above them for that to happen now.
And then even better result for Spurs. Arsenal went and lost 2-1 at home to Brighton. I think just with Arsenal's form at the moment, I was expecting them to turn Brighton over, and Brighton have not been on a good run either.
I know, they've not scored after that. And then the other thing, I just talked to Anel actually earlier in the week because he was trying to avoid me, but he agreed with me. He said that I think Partey, he said he's injured probably after the season. Tierney after the season. They're not scoring goals. So I think we said a while back, didn't we, that while I think the business in January was long-term planning, which you can't argue against, it could cost them. And it looks like potentially it could. I'm hoping it will.
Well, I can't work out if Granit Xhaka's playing midfield or left back.
Well, I said to you last week, the game against Palace, he played in about 4 different positions, didn't he?
And then we move on to the Southampton game. I don't think anybody would have predicted this.
No.
But it did set them up nicely for the Real Madrid game. Southampton 0, Chelsea 6. When Chelsea went 1-0 up, 2-0 up, I thought, oh, well, it won't be too bad. But Hasselhoe's turned around and said, unfortunately, I was trying to get rid of this mentality. It's still there. So you just have to accept it's going to happen once a season.
I tell you well, and I was watching this with my brother, how poor was Fraser Forster with the goals. He looked like a brick wall. really poor goalkeeping for some of them. But yeah, good win for Chelsea. Like I said, it did set them up nicely for what I think was a good performance in the week.
Yeah, and then unfortunately I think this signs and seals Watford's chance of getting out, losing 3-0 at home to Leeds, and then a result that I don't think anybody could have preempted beforehand. And all I can say is that your front three have finally turned up to the show, and Aston Villa 0, Spurs 4.
Yeah, it was. I think it probably flatters us a little bit. Anybody who watched it, particularly first half, that we scored early and we had a couple of other chances, but then Villa, Gerrard clearly had it up front. I think we'd said that they were very passive in the last 2 games. He clearly had them up for it because there was 1 or 2 tackles that were on the edge. I think like Matty Cash on, that's put Doherty out for the season now, being one. Tyrone Mings on, what became or whoever, and the other one. But they played really well, and Lloris was had to be. And I don't think it was anything. I don't think Spurs played badly. I just think it was one of them periods of time where the opposition were just up for it. And thankfully, for once, I think earlier in the year you would have seen Spurs concede and then potentially capitulate, end up being 2 or 3-1 down at half time and chasing the game.
Yeah.
As it was, they weren't. And then second half, they weren't really in it. And like you say, that just up front, we're just clinical at the moment. The Kulusevski's add another dimension to it. We know what Kane can do, and Son finally, although his goals are good, he finally back to where I think Son is in terms of his ball retention and winning with the ball and his finishing, and 3 clinical finishes. So what a weekend, because all of a sudden now the game in hand that Everton, Arsenal have is irrelevant because their goal difference is so superior.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping Spurs run continues, that the big game, the big North London derby, which I think they've done, we play 3 in a week, the last week of the season, that being the middle one on Thursday night, that the Premier League obviously concocted, because I think 10 days ago, fortnight ago, it looked like it was going to be that was going to be the game.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's irrelevant.
Well, I hope it isn't. I apologise, I'm not putting my hands on my head because I'm bored or anything like that, but my shoulder's
Still
killing me.
struggling. Let's crack on then.
Yes, Brentford 2, West Ham 0. So really bad result for West Ham and that chase for 4th spot, and it just seems like people are stumbling over each other, apart from Spurs at the moment.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that pans out. Leicester picking up back-to-back victories, beating Palace 2-1. Palace would have ideally loved to take a win into that and taken into the FA Cup this weekend. Norwich 2, Burnley 0. I think that signs and seals Burnley's. Does it give Norwich a slight glimmer?
No, I think like you said before last week, I think when we were talking about Everton, they've just had enough. I think the bottom 3 have pretty much been sealed for 4 or 5 weeks, really.
Yeah. And then was the eagerly anticipated and did not let anybody down, unless you're a Liverpool and City fan, where you would have been biting your nails, and it was a game that could have swung either way at the end. Hand up, City by far superior first half, should have been out of sight really, but lack of clinical finishing, great saves by Alisson, missed chances. Didn't put us to bed, and then paid the price in the second half, and then could have gone on and lost the game.
Yeah.
If Liverpool they started so well the first 5-10 minutes of the second half, if they carried on pushing that way, and then at the end, Mahrez should have scored, because Alisson is in
I don't know what he does there.
man's land.
I don't know what he does there.
As soon as I saw it, and I saw Mahrez turn back on himself, and I saw where Alisson was, I shouted at the telly, why are you that far out?
Yeah.
And then thankfully he just got his technique completely wrong. Like Harry's Penninka penalty.
Yeah, great. It was a great game to watch. I was there to watch, so it wasn't completely focused, it was in the background, but hell of a game. I think from a neutral's point of view, are 2 things. One, said it before, say it again, City's lack of strike is going to cost them, because if they had won on Sunday, they'd have won that game.
Yeah.
And then the Championship's dead. But as a result, it's still there. It's still live.
I did listen to a report the other day. The guy did comment really well, and his thing was, and I think it might have been a tweet I read as well, was City played like Liverpool, and Liverpool played a little bit more like City. Yeah. City's press the first half was high and intense and in the faces, and Liverpool second half were controlling the possessions of the ball and almost like doing what City do, just going around and waiting for the opportunity. I thought Thiago looks back to his best. That just ability to pick a pass and just get the ball and just looks unfazed at everything.
Yeah, you do need that kind of player at times, don't you?
Yeah.
yeah, I think from the biggest thing, it was a great game for the neutral point of view, and also the title is alive. Yes, I think now City, for me, are back favourites. I think they're always favourites, but I thought Liverpool could do a job on them, and I still think that Liverpool have something to say, but I think at least it's still open.
Yeah, one point in is next to nothing. The interesting thing is obviously this weekend is the FA Cup, so they go head to head again.
Yeah.
And we'll cover the Champions League in a second, but De Bruyne limped off and Kyle Walker limped off.
Yeah, I've just read something this morning actually that Pep says they're in a bit of a mess in terms of injuries for the weekend, and the fact that the rest, even the ones that are fit, they've played 2 massive games. Liverpool have 2 huge games.
I think when you compare the 2 games, and we'll talk about the European games in a second, is Liverpool made 7 changes.
Yeah.
So that showed you how different the times were for both teams.
City couldn't afford to do that, could they?
No, not Atletico. But well, let's cover the European games first then. So we had Champions League quarterfinals first. So we had on the Tuesday night, we actually had Bayern Munich versus Villarreal. Villarreal drew 1-1 but went through 2-1 on aggregate. Chelsea almost. Would that have been a bigger upset than Liverpool beating Barca? Simply, and the question I'm going to ask you, Liverpool beat Barcelona 4-0 at Anfield. But to win 3-0 at Real Madrid, has there been a better result than that?
I think it would have been a hell of a result. Do not get me wrong. And they were unlucky not to do it. But no, I still think that one decision we both reached, Spurs reached as well, but the fact that we beat Barcelona, had to beat them 4-0 to go through. Yeah. I know you were at home, but the attacking prowess that Barcelona had, I said before, I could have always saw Liverpool scoring 4, but not to concede one, for me was phenomenal.
Yeah. So Chelsea almost did it. 2-0 up. 1-0 up, scored, a second got disallowed, which rightly got disallowed. 2-0 up, 3-0 up, and then Modric has then produced an unbelievable pass
for that goal.
Just play on lad's foot. He had to just make a connection, make it 3-1, extra time. Chelsea had the chances. Pulisic guilty, Havertz guilty.
Rudiger slipped in for the decisive goal.
Yeah, and then the main man that's on probably best form is like Benzema.
Yeah.
Up and scores. So, just out of interest, Real Madrid City, who wins that?
City, I think.
Okay.
I think a lot depends upon. I'm not going to labour a point, but I am going to do. A lot will depend on Benzema. If his form continues over the next month as a goal scorer,
I'd say a lot will rely on De Bruyne, because I'd say De Bruyne's ability, even though they've got an aging team, they've got Cruz in there, Modric in there, and then probably Casemiro, and then maybe one other that drops in to help support. But if De Bruyne is there, I don't think they can handle him.
No.
I just don't think they've got the legs to handle him. I think they've got ability to play football around him, but I think when he drives, he'll just go past.
I did read something in the week somewhere that somebody said, and I read it, didn't read the article, I was thinking through, is De Bruyne the best ever player to play in the Premier League? It's a debate for another day, but he is very good.
He's very good. He's almost like Gerrard-like, with the fact that he can just single-handedly grab a game,
his influence,
drives forward with the ball, and then produces something at the end of it. They're on. I wouldn't say they're on par because they played 2 different times, but very similar in the fact that they could drag a team through. It would be an interesting battle, that would it? De Bruyne versus Gerrard.
Yeah, because you think
I think Gerrard's got a little bit nastiness.
I was about to say, although I think De Bruyne is quite apt to put shift in, I think Gerrard overdoes him in the physicality side, but probably De Bruyne is a little bit more creative.
Yeah, possibly. That would have been a great midfield battle. Also, it's chicken Modric in there. What a player he is. Spurs let him go at probably the wrong time.
Yeah, I mean, that was in the days when we were just selling club on it, you know.
So moving on, Atletico Madrid 0, Man City 0. Nobody would have seen that as a 0-0. For love nor money, just did not a very nice game. But Atletico had the chance. Corella in the 95th minute they got sent off, didn't he? 95th minute, falls to him after he dived to try and get a penalty. Falls to him, and people say it was a good save. I think it's just not a clean hit.
Yeah, I think it's probably a bit of both. Maybe.
Yeah, he should have really gone across it.
City, at the end of the day, I think City fans would be happy to see the fact that there's a bit of fight there, and they can actually mix it a little bit.
Yeah, but I think the concern for City now is coming out, now they'll be settled down, the lumps and bruises will be coming out. And it's obviously been highlighted now that De Bruyne left the game early, Kyle Walker left the game.
Foden's got stitches.
Wrapped up, but I think stitch injury is nothing, is it? You just crack on with that. But they're two massive players to miss Liverpool because Kyle Walker's pace covers the back line, especially the fact they've got Diaz out as well.
Yeah.
And I know Stones and Laporte are decent, but they're just without no pace there. Cancelo's decent, but no pace.
Yeah, not the electric pace of Walker's got.
Not when you've got to chase Salah and Mane.
Yeah, Walker's power of recovery is unbelievable.
So I would have said going into that game, I would have had City to win the FA Cup. Who's going to win what then this year?
City's going to win the Carling Cup, whatever it's called.
Liverpool have already won.
Yeah. City, I've got faith. City will win the league now.
So City won, Liverpool won at the moment on trophies.
Yeah. I have a sneaking feeling that Chelsea win the FA Cup.
Alright, okay.
And Liverpool for the Champions League.
Wow. I'm going to go 2-2. But I was going to go 2-2 before I knew about De Bruyne and Kyle Walker's injury. I just think that's going to be the difference Liverpool have, and the fact that Liverpool had needed.
Yeah, and the one leg game and the one-off ties in the FA Cup just open it up for stuff, doesn't it?
But the exciting times, so look forward to that. But quickly cover Liverpool, never in doubt, never behind, even though the scoreline says 3-3. They're 3-1 up and then brought on the better players.
It's a bit weird, that, wasn't it? Like you said before, that. Maybe they just need to still want legs in there.
Yeah, just ticking them over, just to give them half an hour, just to keep them fresh. And then we mentioned before about how good a European week it has been for the British clubs. Before we mentioned the British clubs, Barcelona went out to Frankfurt, which was a massive surprise, losing 3-2 at home, which then sets up a tie with West Ham in the semis. And West Ham went to Lyon and won 3-0. Not many people go and do that. And from all accounts, comfortable.
Well worth it. Yeah. Because it's 2-0 at half time, wasn't it? Or just after half time?
I think it was 2-0 at half, and third in the second half. And then Rangers turned around and 1-0 loss at Braga and won 3-1, which sets them up against RB Leipzig in the other semi-final. So it's West Ham, Frankfurt, RB and Rangers. So we could have an all-British tie in the final. Yeah. I can't see it. I think RB will go through. West Ham will fancy chances because Frankfurt only 9th in the German league at the moment.
And West Ham are playing well at the minute, cup games.
And then the other conference, Leicester City beat PSV, a great result at PSV. Marseille through, Roma through, and Feyenoord through, and I believe
it's Leicester Roma, isn't it?
It's Leicester Roma.
So Mourinho and Rodgers here.
Yeah, big Tammy Abraham's there, isn't he?
Yeah.
And Nathan Miles.
Yes.
Yeah, so they've got a few English boys there. So yeah, good week for British clubs.
And back to your point, it does prove that the Premiership's the best league in the world.
Yeah, I was only joking about that because it was too
small.
But I think
for the other side. But people, I've said it for a long time, because it's different. I'm not saying it's technically, there's probably better technical leagues or the best teams are maybe better, I don't know, but in terms of overall league, and you think that they're pretty much dominating European football this season, don't look further away than the Premiership, boys and girls.
I'm not going to go through these one by one. I'll just quickly shout out the fixtures. But Saturday and Sunday sees the FA Cup semi-final. Yeah. Liverpool City, Chelsea Palace. Liverpool Chelsea final I'm going to go for. In Saturday's games, early kick-off, Spurs play Brighton. So a good chance for you to
carry on the form.
Yeah. United play Norwich, Southampton play Arsenal. Watford play Brentford. You'll be hoping there'll be some type of reaction from Southampton. Yeah. Sunday sees Newcastle play Leicester. West Ham host Burnley. And then we have a few days break. And then it's a double game week for some teams. Be aware of that for fancy football. Liverpool play Manchester United at Anfield. Just not a good time for Ralph at the moment to go there, is it?
No.
Then we have on Wednesday Chelsea Arsenal. Nice little London derby.
And that's Arsenal's game in hand. So hopefully Southampton turn up, and then Chelsea
do play Arsenal.
Chelsea turn up, and Spurs win. They have 2 defeats or not 2 wins. It's
could be looking over the shoulder for 6th and 7th. Everton host Leicester in. I think it's a non-entity game for either team now. Now that bottom 3 are probably done and dusted. Newcastle host Palace. City play Brighton. Brighton will not be looking forward to that. And then Thursday sees the game week fantasy football done with Burnley against Southampton. So that rounds up our football section. It's getting to business and I like it. Yeah. Games are coming thick and fast. So we shall see. But I'm going 2-2 on the Cups.
I think Chelsea might do the FA.
I think Liverpool FA Cup.
I'd like to see Palace win it out of the four that are left, to be honest. But I think City.
Was it Bob and no?
Yeah. What interesting that is Gallagher. I wonder if Conor Gallagher's got a thing in his line that he can't play against Chelsea. That would be unfortunate.
He won't be allowed to play now.
That's unfortunate.
That's a big loss for them.
And for him to play in a semi-final. It's a bit unfortunate.
Yeah. Right. So breaking news.
I've just seen it. So I've just been contacted from my man in the know that Joe Root has stepped down as England captain.
Which you said he should have done.
Oh yeah, I think it's the right decision. I think I've said before that I don't think he should have ever been made the captain back 4 years or 5 years ago, whatever it was now. But that's history. I said it at the time. There's no doubt that he's done the best job he can and he's passionate about captaining his country. Why wouldn't you be? Has it affected his batting? No, it's probably he's had last year had a stellar year amongst all the terrible results. But it's definitely the right time. I think particularly with the fact that they're about to appoint a new director of cricket, a new head coach. I think sometimes you just have to clear the deck, so to speak, and start again. So now it will be. Bear in mind, I think the international summer starts June, so 6 weeks. You'd have thought, I would say on the back of that, there'll be an announcement about the new director of cricket, etc. You're going to ask me who I want in charge, aren't you?
Because I know you originally wanted Shane Warne.
Yeah, that's not going to
happen.
So I think, and the rumour is, and I won't be against this, the new director of cricket that's going to oversee all cricket will be Rob Key.
No idea who he is.
So he used to play for England Kent, part of the Sky Sports commentary team.
All right, okay.
Very good. Obviously, different kind of job to what he's ever done, but I would be happy with that because he's not actually, a bit like I've done, he's not actually 100% demeaning of the county game. He just needs some tweaks, and I'm a big believer of that. So I'd like to see him if he's the favourite. I think Paul Collingwood deserves to go as head coach if he can. I think he needs to disengage himself from being a bit of the lad's lad with the players. I think there's a great relationship there, but I think he needs to. I don't know if strong is a word, but he won a World Cup for England as captain, so he's obviously got something about him. And the captaincy issue is a problem because there's no outstanding candidate. You've either got to go for somebody on an interim basis, or you go with somebody left field. I think what they'll do is they'll persuade Stokes to do it, which I wouldn't go for because I think you just needed to let him play. If it was me going for it, I would pull James Vince from Hampshire, who's got experience of captaining, and say, "You're the captain. You're going to bat at 3 for me for the next 2 years. Off you go." Because he can play. He averages like 35 in Test match cricket. He got criticised for getting out the same way. Tell you what, his 35s now would be very generous for us. So that's where I'd go. But it will be quite interesting because there is no outstanding candidate other than Stokes. But I just don't think it's the right thing for him. Bear in mind that he missed the start of the tour, wasn't going to tour, for the Ashes because of his finger, but also some mental health issues. So to suddenly become a multi-format player and the captain of your country.
So are England currently void of leadership?
I think so. And obviously, it's funny because this week, I was only talking to my brother about this week I've seen that Stuart Broad's come out and sort of said, I'm just going to take Wickets County Championship, my career's not over, but nobody's really talked to me. Anderson's been quite vitriolic and said, I've stopped trying to make sense of why I was left out. I still got plenty in the tank, so to speak. Nobody's spoken to me. It'd be nicer to have more than a 5-minute conversation. So there's obviously things been boiling in the background because they all get to know, don't they? So I think they're completely devoid of leadership. I think the appointment of Chris Silverwood as coach didn't help Root because I don't think he was strong enough or necessarily good enough to take on that role, particularly when you've got. And there's no doubt about it. Jimmy and Broad, for example, are big ego characters. You can see that. Rightly so, to a degree, I guess, when you've got that many wickets and won that many games for your country. I don't think they're the easiest to manage. Anybody read Kevin Peterson's autobiography from a few years back, he'll say that. So it needs a strong leader, but doesn't necessarily mean, demonstrative. It just needs somebody to. I think the biggest problem is with the Red Bull side is that there's been no clear direction, clear leadership over the last 2 or 3 years. Whereas with the white ball stuff under Morgan and the coaches, there clearly has, and by all accounts, Morgan clearly runs that side.
Yeah.
Not the coach. The coach is there to throw the balls, time the sessions.
Morgan not able to step up then?
I think so, because I think his time, even as white ball player, is coming to an end. I think. So it wouldn't surprise me if he becomes the white ball coach.
Okay. Just out of that, obviously moving on, the ladies' game.
Yeah.
Shrubs.
Anya Shrubs,
has retired now?
Retired, yeah. So
which you did think that was...
I thought so, yeah, because she's 30, 32, 33, maybe a bit older. Obviously played a lot of international cricket because they played, particularly when she first started, played a lot younger. Yeah. Had a great career. Won the... Obviously, we'll be remembered for taking the winning wicket in the 2017 was it World Cup at Lords. So I think she's done the right and honourable thing to say. Enough's enough, and I suspect her partner in crime, Kathleen Brunt, will probably follow suit, and maybe one or two others.
Okay, we'll keep an eye on that news. Right, fancy football. So this week's winner was Kings Park Rangers, Paul King with 89 points, which was a great result.
Very good.
But the most important thing was the cup.
Yeah, what happened in this?
So in the cup, if you scored really well in the week before,
I was in.
You got to buy.
Got to buy, yeah.
You got to buy. I didn't. I got somebody that was 3 places above me in the league, Mike Tetley. Right. So after the first day, he's on 30-something points. I'm on like 7. And I'm like, oh my, this is going to be a disaster.
But then you've got Kane, haven't you, as captain?
He had Kane as captain. So I'm just clicking on Sporting Jibberish Cup just to reveal this to Jack as we look.
Is it the first fixture?
Sporting Jibberish, Stuart Booth, 68. Boom Shakalaka, Mike Tetley, 64. Oh. Get in there! Oh. Yes, came through.
Tipped him.
So I've got Lewis Alexander in the next round. What you called?
Big Lefties final.
Let's just go all teams. Okay, so I'm not going to go through all these. Is there any? Eddie, the old father-in-law, has got Andy Tran slugged something. I'm glad I read that out loud there. Top of the league, Tom Jackson.
Oh, look at this for a fixture.
Oh no. Big Lefties finest, Jack Luffman, is playing Jamzen Ian Larkin. So it's Big Lefty versus our guru of fancy football, who brings the jam in the cup competition.
I best change my side tonight, haven't I?
Oh, Matty Aldred has got Lisa Bateman. I think she's won a team of the week once. AJ's in there against Josh Latham. So yeah, it could be a weekend of upsets this weekend.
Come on, the boys.
You need to be bringing the jam, my friend. And I've got Lewis Alexander in the next round. Oh, Club Foot.
There'll be no jam. He's not bringing the jam.
Oh my goodness, we still have people with buys. Darryl Sim.
No, that was last week's.
No, that's...
Round 128. We're
around 64. Yeah. Right, okay, so...
There we go.
In. This is it. This is where
it's what a game. That's a televised game, isn't it?
The televised game, that is definitely the one. But yeah, how are you getting on in league by any chance? Where are you? So Jacko's still top by 20 points to Gwyn or Fluffy Sheep. Them two have got like a 50-point lead on third place. They're doing well there. Who's still 14th, can't quite break that top 10. I don't think I will be able to either. But yeah, Tetley's there at 11th. Unlucky Tetley. See you later, Paul. But yeah, if we go all the way down towards the bottom, are you even on the first page? Larkin, your opponent, is in 39.
46th, I am.
And 46. So if you perform like you did this week, you will smash him out of the park. He's only got 42 points this week. Larkin, step up.
I'm definitely all in on Spurs because I've got all the front three, so I'm to Brighton. Come on.
Right, so you are now off to the water park.
Go to the water park.
Awesome.
The family goes back early Sunday morning, so we're water park this afternoon. I think they want to go to the mall. They don't really know what we're doing tomorrow.
Excellent.
But yeah, and then
I've got a physio appointment in 1 hour's time.
Well, we best get off then.
Yeah, so end of the day, Jack.
What do we know?